all eclipses are created equal, some pass quietly, leaving little more than a fleeting shadow across the sky. Others arrive like storms, shaking the spirit until every hidden weakness is revealed. And then there are eclipses like the one approaching now. Subtle in appearance, yet fierce in impact, this is not just another celestial event. This is a turning point, a threshold, a moment where the cosmos itself leans down and whispers, "Prepare, or be prepared." Think of it this way. A total eclipse may seem more dramatic, but a partial eclipse is far more precise. It does not sweep across everything at once. It selects. Like a surgeon's blade, it finds the blind spots you have ignored, the corners of your life you thought would remain hidden, the attachments you believed you could carry forever, and it cuts. Cleanly, decisively, without apology. That is why this moment is so critical. It is not about spectacle. It is about transformation. Many will miss it. Many will continue as if nothing is shifting, dismissing the restlessness in their bodies, the strange thoughts looping in their minds, the dreams that feel too vivid to ignore. But those who are awake, the chosen ones, feel it already. They sense the air thickening, the balance tipping, the unseen hand rearranging what no longer belongs. They know this eclipse does not come to ask permission. It comes to realign. And so the question becomes, will you step into this energy with intention, or will you let it drag you unprepared into its current? The choice is yours, but the time is short. Before the eclipse strikes, there are steps you must take, sacred steps, steps that will decide whether this shadow dismantles you or strengthens you. And the very first of these steps, the first divine command whispered by the shadow, is this: clear the dead weight. Before a solar eclipse, the universe always whispers a warning. Release before you receive. This particular eclipse is not a random shadow across the sky. It is a scalpel, carving with precision. And like any precise cut, it does not strike where you are strong, but where you are still entangled. The first divine instruction is simple yet difficult. Clear the dead weight. What does this mean? It means the eclipse will not allow you to carry expired attachments, no matter how comfortable they may feel. If you walk into this cosmic threshold, still clutching toxic relationships, still replaying outdated routines, still clinging to people and places that no longer nurture you, the eclipse itself will rip them from your grasp. And when the cosmos takes something by force, the process is rarely gentle. That is why you must act before the shadow arrives. Think of your life as a sacred garden. You may dream of planting new seeds, manifesting new blessings, envisioning new paths. But if the soil is tangled with weeds, your seeds will not grow into clarity. They will grow into chaos. Weeds, in this sense, are not only the obvious poisons, the betrayals, the lies, the draining presences. Weeds can also be the familiar comforts you have simply outgrown. A habit that once served you but now stifles you. A friendship that once aligned but now pulls you backward. These are the quiet weights that prevent your spirit from ascending. To honor the eclipse, you must release with intention. Ask yourself with full honesty, what cords am I still tied to that secretly bleed my energy? Who or what am I keeping close out of fear instead of love? Which cycles no longer belong to the person I am becoming? Be ruthless in your clarity, because when the eclipse arrives, it will cut anyway. The question is whether you guide the blade or let it strike without mercy. To clear the dead weight is not just preparation. It is a sacred act of protection. Guard your focus, energy, and plans. Once you have begun to cut away the dead weight, you create space for something deeper, stability. But here is the hidden truth. An eclipse is not content to only prune your attachments. It will also test the three pillars that hold your life together: your focus, your energy, and your plans. These are the sacred foundations of your path, and under the eclipse shadow, they tremble. First comes focus. In ordinary days, distractions nibble at the edges of your attention. But under the eclipse, distraction becomes a storm. You may wake knowing what matters most, yet find yourself pulled in 10 directions, scattering precious time on meaningless things. This is no accident. It is the eclipse shaking your mental compass, demanding you learn the art of anchoring. If you cannot ground your mind, you will drift into chaos. To resist, choose one sacred priority each day and tether yourself to it. Simplicity is your shield. Then comes energy. Just as momentum begins to build, you may feel a sudden heaviness or a restless spark that refuses to be harnessed. This dip or misfire is the eclipse demanding pause, forcing the body and spirit into recalibration. Resist the urge to fight it. Rest is not weakness, it is alignment. To ignore this lesson invites burnout. To honor it transforms fatigue into fuel. And finally, the eclipse tests your plans. Future visions that once felt certain may suddenly appear fragile. Doubts creep in. Am I on the right path? Am I walking with the right people? Am I simply moving in circles? Do not mistake these shadows for failure. They are questions designed to refine your trajectory. The cosmos is not erasing your path. It is checking the strength of your grip upon it. So, prepare now. Guard your focus like a flame against the wind. Preserve your energy like water in the desert. Hold your plans loosely enough to adjust, but firmly enough not to collapse. For when the eclipse comes, it does not ask whether you are ready. It only reveals the truth of what you have built. Recognize the looping thought after the eclipse shakes your focus, energy, and plans. It leaves behind a peculiar echo, one thought that refuses to let go. At first, it may seem like nothing more than overthinking. But do not be deceived. This repetitive whisper is not random noise. It is a message from your deeper self, circling until you are finally ready to face it. The looping thought is not the distraction. It is the compass. Perhaps it is a memory of someone you haven't spoken to in years, suddenly surfacing in your mind at the strangest times. Or maybe it is an unfinished dream, a decision you avoided, a fear you buried. Whatever form it takes, if it returns again and again, it carries weight. The soul does not waste energy repeating what is meaningless. Repetition is revelation. Here is the divine paradox. The thought itself is not the root, it is the messenger. If your mind circles endlessly around money, the core issue may be safety, trust, or your relationship with control. If you keep thinking of a person, it may not be about them at all, but about the piece of yourself you left in that chapter of life. The eclipse magnifies these loops so they cannot be ignored. To dismiss them as simple worry is to miss the very doorway to your awakening. Understand this. When the eclipse presses a thought into your mind with such persistence, it is not trying to torment you, it is trying to prepare you. The more you resist, the louder it becomes, until it cracks open under the pressure of the shadow. But if you lean in and ask, what truth are you pointing me toward? What shift are you demanding I acknowledge? Then the thought becomes your guide instead of your burden. Do not fear the repetition. Follow it. Trace it back to its origin. For in the labyrinth of looping thoughts lies the very map the eclipse wishes you to read. Ignore it, and the shift will still come. But it will arrive as disruption. Honor it, and you align with transformation itself. Shield your energy. Once the looping thought has surfaced, the eclipse does not stop there. It begins to thin the veil between your inner world and the world around you. And suddenly, you are not only wrestling with your own echoes, you are absorbing what belongs to others. This is why eclipses leave many people restless, drained, or strangely heavy. The boundaries that normally protect you become fragile, and every influence around you seeps in with unusual intensity. In this sacred yet volatile moment, shielding your energy is no longer a suggestion. It is survival. Imagine your energy as a house. On ordinary days, you may leave the windows cracked, letting a breeze pass through. But during an eclipse, what blows in is not a breeze. It is a storm. If the doors remain open, chaos enters freely. That chaos might take the shape of another person's anger that suddenly feels like your own, or a random heaviness that clings to you long after a simple interaction. You might even feel a pull from unseen forces you cannot name. Without shielding, you become a vessel for energies that were never yours to carry. But protection does not mean building a wall of fear. It means awareness. Who are you allowing into your space as the eclipse approaches? Which environments are you walking into without thought? Are you scrolling through feeds filled with anxiety, gossip, or outrage? These choices decide what you invite into your field. During this cosmic opening, even the smallest carelessness becomes amplified. A careless word spoken by another may echo in you for days. A toxic atmosphere may linger like smoke in your spirit. The eclipse does not discriminate. It magnifies all frequencies. So be deliberate. Close your doors. Surround yourself with voices and places that uplift rather than drain. Recognize when a mood or thought is not truly yours and refuse to let it take root. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It is sacred. Because if you neglect this step, the eclipse will expose every leak in your field, every crack in your boundaries, and in doing so, it will remind you, sometimes harshly, that your spirit was never meant to carry the weight of others. Shield now, and the storm will pass over you instead of through you. Watch your dreams. When your energy is shielded and the storm cannot easily pass through you, the eclipse finds another doorway: your sleep. The nights surrounding an eclipse are never ordinary. Dreams grow louder, stranger, heavier with meaning. You may wake up trembling from a vision so vivid it clings to you throughout the day, or sit up in confusion from a sequence so bizarre you struggle to explain it. Yet beneath their strangeness lies truth. Dreams during this window are not random. They are the secret language of the soul, breaking through while the veil thins. Think of sleep not as rest, but as a stage. The eclipse turns your dreamscape into a theater where your deepest fears, desires, and unresolved emotions play themselves out. Some dreams act like a purge, dragging hidden burdens into the open so they can be released. That is why many wake up both unsettled and strangely lighter, as if something heavy has been lifted from within. Others serve as prophecy, planting symbols and clues that only make sense once the eclipse passed and life has shifted. A face reappearing, a repeated image, a strange phrase spoken in a dream, all are puzzle pieces of a bigger design, waiting for the right moment to align. Do not dismiss them. Write them down. Track them, even if they appear meaningless. For often what feels absurd in the night reveals itself as revelation in hindsight. The eclipse speaks most clearly through this channel, because dreams bypass denial. They deliver what the waking mind refuses to hear. And here is the mystery. Some of these dreams may not even belong to you. The veil is thin enough that you may glimpse the collective unconscious. Visions meant for humanity at large, rather than just your private path. This is why certain dreams in this season feel immense, carrying a weight that seems larger than your own life. So pay attention. Honor the dream space. It is the bridge between your conscious mind and the eclipse's message. Because when morning comes, the choices you make will be shaped by the truths your dreams have already whispered in the night. Guard your mornings. From the dream world, the eclipse leads you directly into the first fragile moments of waking. These minutes are not ordinary. They are gateways. The way you rise, the way you greet the day, becomes an offering to the energies already swirling around you. And yet, most people throw this sacred moment away. They reach for their phones, drowning their spirit in noise before they even take a breath. During an eclipse, this single act becomes one of the most destructive choices you can make. Why? Because the first thing you do upon waking sets the tone for the entire day. If you hand your attention to the endless stream of notifications, messages, and distractions, you have declared to the universe that the outside world owns you more than your inner truth. Attention is currency, and whatever you spend it on first claims the rest. On ordinary days, this habit already weakens focus, but when the eclipse amplifies everything, it magnifies that weakness into chaos, confusion, overwhelm, disorientation. It all begins with those first stolen moments. But here lies the power. You can choose differently. Instead of reaching for the screen, reach inward. Begin with silence. Breathe. Let your spirit, still tender from the messages of the dream realm, have space to speak. Even a few minutes of stillness is enough to align you before the cosmic shadow moves across the sky. Think of it as locking the door of your soul before the storm arrives. It does not stop the storm, but it ensures your foundation stands. Guard your mornings like holy ground. Let them be slow, intentional, and sacred. Sit with your thoughts. Journal the dream you just had. Stretch your body with gratitude. Whisper a prayer, or simply savor the quiet. Whatever you do, let it anchor you before you step into the noise of the world. Because in these days leading to the eclipse, the first breath you take in silence is more powerful than 1,000 words spoken in distraction. Protect it, and you protect the clarity of your entire path. Embrace stillness. Once your mornings are guarded and you step into the day with clarity, the eclipse begins to demand something greater: stillness. This may seem counterintuitive in a world that glorifies productivity, but eclipses do not honor busyness. They honor alignment. The energy of this cosmic event is not asking you to hustle harder or manifest louder. It is asking you to create space so that what is meant for you can arrive without interference. And the only way to create that sacred space is through stillness. Consider the eclipse itself. The sun, the moon, and the earth, all massive bodies, pause in perfect alignment. They do not force. They do not rush. They simply lock into precision. This is the mirror offered to you. If you fill your days with endless noise and movement, you leave no room for clarity to reach you. The eclipse will notice and strip away whatever distractions you cling to until you are left with nothing but silence. But if you honor the pause willingly, the silence becomes revelation instead of loss. Stillness is not emptiness. Stillness is where the voice of the soul finally rises above the clamor of the world. When you sit without distraction, no music, no scrolling, no forced ritual, you make space for whispers that carry divine direction, a sudden insight, a vision, a gentle but undeniable truth. These are the gifts of silence, but they only appear when you stop chasing. So walk slowly, take time to breathe, let your nervous system exhale. Even 5 minutes of undisturbed stillness can shift your alignment more powerfully than hours of forced ritual. Stillness is not a retreat from life. It is the doorway to hearing life's deepest truths. If you embrace this pause, the eclipse becomes your ally, bringing revelations with grace. If you resist, it becomes your teacher, removing restlessness by force. Either way, You will face the silence, choose it willingly, and you transform it into your greatest strength. Keep plans. Private from stillness arises clarity, but with clarity comes the temptation to share. When a vision forms within you, it feels natural to announce it, to tell others of the transformation stirring beneath the surface. Yet under the shadow of the eclipse, this urge must be resisted. The energy of this time is volatile, fragile, still taking shape. If you expose it too soon, you do not protect your vision, you weaken it. The eighth preparation is to guard your plans in silence. Think of a seed buried in the soil. No one sees it, no one applauds it, no one even knows it exists. But in that hidden place, it gathers strength. If you pull it from the earth too soon to show it off, it withers before it can bloom. The same is true for the intentions and insights rising in you now. They are seedlings. They require protection, not exposure. Speak them too early, and you open them to doubt, envy, or projections from others. Even the silent skepticism of those around you can scatter the clarity you just began to receive. And it is not only outside voices you must guard against. Speaking of your plans, too much tricks the mind into believing progress has already been made. Words of intention, when spoken prematurely, can drain the very willpower required to bring them into reality. The eclipse magnifies this effect, unraveling fragile visions before they take root. So honor the sacred secrecy of this moment. Hold your revelations close. Let them grow quietly within you until they are unshakable. When the time is right, they will rise with a force no opinion or projection can undo. But for now, trust the power of silence. In the hidden dark, strength is born. The eclipse does not demand you announce. It demands you protect. Keep your plans private, and you will give them the soil they need to become unstoppable. Speak with intention. When your plans are kept safe in silence, the eclipse shifts its gaze toward something equally powerful: your words. In this window, language itself becomes charged. Words stop being casual sounds and instead take on the weight of spells, reverberating far beyond the moment they are spoken. What you whisper, what you mutter to yourself, what you speak aloud to others, every syllable is amplified. This is why you must speak with intention. The ancients understood this law. They treated speech as sacred, believing that words shape reality, not just describe it. And under an eclipse, this truth is heightened. Every phrase becomes a seed. Some seeds blossom into blessings, others into chaos. The choice is yours. A word of courage may anchor protection around you. A careless insult may echo back as chains you cannot shake. Even the quiet criticisms you direct at yourself carry weight, embedding themselves into your energy field like etchings on stone. This is the danger of eclipse energy. It does not separate words meant in jest from words meant in earnest. All are magnified. All are woven into the unseen fabric of your path. Gossip, complaints, careless promises all become doorways you have opened, sometimes without realizing what you have invited in. But the reverse is equally true. Words of love, trust, and healing ripple outward with greater strength than usual, weaving protection and alignment into your future. So measure your speech. Let every word pass through a sacred filter. Is this healing? Is this true? Is this necessary? If not, let it remain unspoken. Silence itself can be a shield, sparing you from binding yourself to energies you never intended to invite. And when you do speak, speak as though your words are commands to the universe, because during this eclipse, they are. The doors you open with your tongue are the ones you will soon be walking through. Choose carefully, and let your voice become a vessel for creation rather than destruction. Silence at the moment of eclipse. After you have measured your words, and chosen them with intention, there remains one final and sacred act: silence. At the very peak of the eclipse, when shadow crosses sun and the veil thins to its thinnest, the most powerful preparation is not a chant, not a ritual, not a manifestation. It is the act of doing nothing. This stillness, this silence, is not emptiness. It is surrender. It is the purest form of listening. Why silence? Because in that charged moment, the universe does not need to be told what you desire. It already knows. The eclipse is not waiting for demands. It is waiting for space. If you fill the air with words, intentions, or frantic actions, you drown out the whispers the cosmos is trying to deliver. But when you fall into quiet, you become a receiver. You open yourself like an empty vessel, saying without words, "I am ready. I am listening." This stillness also serves as protection. Every word left unspoken is a door you keep closed. Every distraction resisted is a shadow you refuse to invite in. The silence becomes your armor as well as your offering. And in that pause, something remarkable happens. The subtle truths you have been circling finally break through, not as fireworks, but as whispers. A sudden clarity, a flash of insight, a seed of direction that shifts your path forever. The ancients treated this moment as a test. Could you hold still when the world tilted into shadow? Could you resist the urge to grasp, to panic, to force? Those who rushed came away confused, but those who stilled themselves came away marked, carrying a resonance they could not yet explain. For them, silence was not absence, it was initiation. So, when the eclipse reaches its height, honor it not with noise, but with reverence. Let your body soften. Let your breath slow. Let your mind unclench. Trust that what is meant for you will arrive only in the quiet, in the sacred hush of the eclipse. Transformation is delivered not to those who shout, but to those who are willing to listen. The eclipse begins with whispers and ends with silence, but its journey leaves you altered. If you have followed these steps, cutting away the dead weight, anchoring your focus, listening to the looping thought, shielding your energy, watching your dreams, guarding your mornings, embracing stillness, protecting your plans, speaking with intention, and finally entering silence, you have not merely survived the eclipse, you have partnered with it. You have allowed it to refine you instead of unravel you. This is the hidden purpose of eclipses. They are not punishments, nor random events in the sky. They are cosmic recalibrations, moments where the rhythm of the universe strikes a chord so deep that every soul is forced to listen. For some, this listening feels like chaos. For others, like revelation. The difference lies in preparation. The unprepared are shaken. The prepared are reshaped. And now, as the shadow lifts, the real work begins. The days that follow will not immediately show the fruits of what you have done. Like seeds planted in secret, the changes will unfold gradually, steadily, in perfect timing. You may find that old patterns no longer hold power over you. You may notice clarity rising where confusion once dwelled. You may realize that the subtle whispers of dreams, thoughts, and silences have already begun to weave themselves into new directions. Remember this: transformation is rarely dramatic in the moment. It reveals itself in hindsight. When you look back and see that the path you walk now could not have existed without the shadow that passed overhead. The eclipse is both mirror and doorway. It shows you what must be released, and it opens the path for what must arrive. So honor what you have walked through. Carry the stillness forward. Guard your words, your mornings, your energy, not just in eclipse season, but always. And when the next celestial shadow comes, you will not fear it. You will welcome it as an ally, knowing it does not come to destroy you, but to awaken you. If you have listened this far, know that you are among the chosen to receive these truths. Take them with reverence, share them wisely, and above all, remember, the light that follows the eclipse does not return you unchanged. It reveals the new self you have become.